chickens at lunch today.
Oh, you did?
He raises chickens.
Oh, okay. I think the backyard chicken ordinance is that already coming here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's coming back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He lives out in the country, so he can have a hen.
Yes.
I mean, he's not a hen, a rooster.
How's Mr. David today?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I was telling him we got a lesson on chickens at lunch today.
David, are you following the city of Ocoee?
Yes, I am.
Did you get a copy? I haven't. I
They
meant to
just
go see
filed-
if I could get the DOA petition. But
We have the DOA petition.
oh, you do?
Yeah, I can forward it to you.
Oh, awesome! I would love to see it.
They make some pretty good arguments.
Well, that's why I was curious if you're following it. I thought that they made some interesting arguments too, and one of them is kind of similar to ours in that they say you can opt out of it.
Yeah, which I thought would have cured the problem, but the Department of Commerce said it doesn't. So
That's what I'm interested to read this. What's their argument?
I don't know what Department of Commerce argument is yet. I've only seen the city of Ocoee's argument. But I'll forward you the petition.
I've only got my information from reading news articles.
I think Ocoee is making some very good arguments. They're not the constitutional arguments that I was discussing with you, but they make some very good arguments about the Department of Commerce's authority to be doing this.
That was actually a question I was going to ask because I saw that on would the Department of Commerce have standing to send them a 14-day notice and then file a suit?
I don't think they do because they're not a person or a business. That's one of Ocoee's arguments. To the extent anybody can enforce the law, it's got to be
He probably thought it was going to be
some person or business, not the Department of Commerce.
Exactly.
I think the reason that the city's annoyed and probably other jurisdictions is the Department of Commerce is sort of just enforcing the law without any clear authority to do so.
Yeah, I was curious about their argument.
No, I think they make some good arguments. And they're effectively engaging in rulemaking without doing rulemaking. Like, they're just declaring things to be more restrictive or burdensome. I mean, for example, I would argue that if your comp plan is not self-implementing and it says you're going to regulate with some future LDC amendments, or that's the part that would be more restrictive or burdensome, is the future LDC amendment. The Department of Commerce is taking the position that even if the comp plan authorizes you to do some future land development code, but that's more restrictive or burdensome. So, the Department of Commerce is also taking the position that even if your policy is less restrictive or burdensome, that doesn't offset something that's more restrictive or burdensome. So in other words, like say your comp plan allows more density, but it says you only get that more density if you meet these three conditions.
Exactly.
They're saying, well, those three conditions are more restrictive or burdensome, so you can't do it. Even though
The partner just testified on something.
it's allowing more density.
Interesting. Well, that was always one of the wondered, like, for instance, what would happen if we said, you must save 25% of the tree canopy, but we're not going to have any tree fees.
The Department of Commerce's position is that's still more restrictive or
Chris
burdensome.
trying to get interesting.
But Ocoee's argument is you're effectively engaging in rulemaking. You're interpreting the law,
Yeah, you ready to come join
right?
us?
Which requires you to engage in rulemaking to do that,
Didn't know if I was waiting on you or Richard.
and they're not doing it.
I'll be interested to follow the whole
Get to start the
thing.
meeting with that.
So yes, I think they make some very good arguments. I'm anxious to see how
How you
it's
doing, sir?
successful.
Good. Very good, thanks.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. We could stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, do we have the roll call, please?
James Girardi.
Here.
Christopher Poole.
Here.
John Reed.
Here.
Matthew Munns. Derek Motlitz.
Here.
Chris Williams.
Here.
Chairman Charles Gregg.
Here. And could we have the proof of publication?
The items were advertised in the Bay Times on June 25th, 2025, July 23rd, 2025, August 20th, 2025, September 3rd, 2025, and September 17th, 2025, or by affidavit of certified mailings and site postings.
All right, thank you very much. We have no minutes to approve. So I'd like to welcome everybody today, that's here today. We're the Planning Commission, and we're appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. We meet twice monthly. We serve as a local planning agency. We hold public hearings and transmit to the Board of County Commissioners our recommendations on comprehensive plan amendments, land development code amendments, rezonings, and conditional use amendments. The Planning Commission is the final decision-making body for special exceptions, variance requests, and certain alternative standard requests. However, if you have a concern about any of the decisions that are made today, you may appeal them to the Board of County Commissioners. If anyone is in opposition to any land development code amendment, rezoning, conditional use, or any item where the Planning Commission makes a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, it would be important for you to attend the appropriate board meeting. For those of you who aren't familiar with the format of the meeting, we have three sections: continuances, consent items, and regular items. We'll go through each of those sections at a time, starting with continuances. It's been our custom to, if there are continuances requested by the applicant or staff, to approve those requests unless they're extenuating circumstances. Consent items, we have consent items that come on the agenda where we have not received any objections from the public or questions from other people. And if they're on consent, we'll go through them one at a time. If you hear a consent item that you want to have discussed today, raise your hand when we bring it up, and we'll pull it from consent so it can be discussed and put onto the regular items. Those are the items that we will vet today, and the applicants will come up and make a presentation, and anybody here that wants to speak on those items can come up and speak. Applicants will have 5 minutes to make their presentation. Questioners will have 3 minutes to give us their concerns, and then the applicant will have an opportunity to come up and respond to those concerns. If there's been any request at least 24 hours prior to this meeting in writing for additional time, that's when we can offer additional time if needed. Do we have anybody made such a request?
We do not have any requests, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, so for everyone that's here, this is a good time. If you have a phone with you or something that makes noise, please put it in the silent position so we don't interrupt anybody when they're speaking. And if you plan to give testimony or come up and speak today, if you will stand and raise your right hand and be sworn, this is the time for that.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
All right, thank you very much. So before we start the meeting, we're going to open the meeting for public comment on anything that's not on today's agenda. Is there anyone here for public comment?
I would just like to note for the record, we do not have anybody signed up for public comment or for WebEx.
Okay. Thank you, Brianna. All right, then I think we can begin. I think we're ready to go.
All right, good afternoon, Planning Commission members. Gianna German, Planning Development and Economic Growth. The first item that we have a continuance is item PC1. It's PDE 26-7666, a zoning amendment in the name of Murphy Road MPUD Master Plan Unit Development in the name of Oakley Pasco County Property Trust for a change in zoning from RMH Mobile Home District, an AR Agricultural Residential District, to an MPUD Master Plan Unit Development to allow for the development of 672 single-family detached units and platted townhomes and associated infrastructure on approximately 118.82 acres located in southeastern Pasco County, and this is coming with the request to continue the item to November 6th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting at 1:30 p.m. in Dade City.
All right, is the applicant present? Anyone here to object? All right. Go ahead and continue.
Item PC2, you will be sitting as the local planning agency for. It's PDE 26-0031, a comprehensive plan amendment, CPAS 2419, in the name of Blanton Road MRS, providing for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment change to the future land use map 2-15 and sheet 8. Changing AR agricultural residential to Res 1, residential 1 dwelling unit per gross acre on approximately 19.69 acres of real property located at the north side of Blanton Road, approximately 2,150 feet east of the intersection of Blanton Road and Trilby Road. And this is also coming with the request that the local planning agency continue the item to the November 6th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting at 1:30 p.m. in Dade City.
All right, is the applicant present? Anyone here to object? Okay.
For this next one, I would like to note for the record that the appellant's public notice affidavit was sent to the clerk's office. Item PC3. It is PDE 26-0455, an appeal of a determination by the Development Review Director in the name of Appeal-2025-00005 for Meadow Point 2 Community Development District, CDD. And this is coming with a request to continue the item to the November 6th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting at 1:30 p.m. in Dade City.
All right, is the applicant present? Anyone here to object?
I'm here for the applicant.
Okay, great. There's no one here to object, so you don't have to come up. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. All right, let's see, there's one more, right?
Yes, sir. Item PC4 is the last item on continuance, and you will be sitting as the local planning agency for this one as well. Item PC4 is PDE 26-0002, an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Land Development Code Amendment, Section 522.9, Connected City Master Plan Unit Development District, Section 901, Infrastructure Standards, Section 901.1, Transportation Corridor Spacing, Bicycle Facilities, and Section 901.8, Pedestrian Facilities, and Appendix A definitions. This is coming with a request that the local planning agency continue the item to the October 16th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting at 1:30 p.m. in Newport Richey.
All right, does anybody here have any questions about this? See no one? All right, I think that's the extent of the continuances. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to continue PC 1, 2, and 3 to November 6th in Dade City, and PC 4 to October 16th in Newport Richey.
All right, you have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion of the motion? If not, all signify by saying aye.
Aye.
A like sign for a negative. Motion carries.
The first item that we have on the consent agenda is item PC5, and you'll be sitting as the local planning agency for this one. This one also has a companion rezoning, item PC6. Item PC5 is PDE 26-0311, a comprehensive plan amendment, CPAS 2509, in the name of Double Branch. Amending map 2-15 and sheet 14, changing AG agricultural to EC Employment Center on approximately 49.58 acres of real property located at the west side of McKendree Road, approximately 3,560 feet south of Tyndall Road and McKendree Road intersection. On this one, we now have individuals signed up for comment as well as for item PC6. PDE asked that we pull this item.
You pull PC 5.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right,
Well,
so that'll go,
Mr. Chair, if you're
PC.
gonna pull PC5, you probably should pull PC6.
PC5 and PC6 are companion items. PC6 is the companion MPUD.
okay. So the applicant's present? Yeah, okay. Anybody here to object on that, just for my future knowledge? Okay, thank
Do you
you.
want to speak on this?
All right. So those are going to the regular items. So PC 7, I guess we're on to?
Well, Mr. Chair, PC7 is also a regular item, so
Okay.
you could take up PC5 and PC6.
Okay,
You could
great.
just go to your regular agenda.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
The individual that we have signed up to speak does not wish to object. They just wish to make comments. Would you still like the presentations and these items be pulled for PC5 and PC6?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Brian Juncker with Planning, Development, and Economic Growth Department. Apologize. There we go. Okay, good afternoon to you. Today I'm presenting PDE 260017, CPAS 2504 Double Branch. The proposal today is a comprehensive plan amending the FLU from AG Agricultural to EC Employment Center. The purpose of the project is to increase the employment generating land within the area and align 37.14 acres of the proposed FLU with the existing double branch MPUD zoning district. The project is located on the west side of McKendree Road, approximately 3,560 feet south of the intersection of Tyndall Road and McKendree Road. There is an accompanying rezoning petition number 7881, double branch MPUD substantial modification. The project is located on the South Market area within the urban service area. Here is a context map to show where the property is located. The property is, it says subject site in red. Here is the aerial view of the subject site. Here is the map of the transportation network map showing the roads around the proposed project. Here is the existing future land use, currently AG, agricultural. And the proposed future land use is EC, Employment Center. The proposed amendment is consistent with the following comprehensive plan policies. And today, this project comes to you with a recommendation. We recommend the local planning agency to find the proposed amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan. I'm here if you have any question for me.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
I do have one question.
Yeah.
I have no objection to the plan amendment, but I guess it relates to in your planning discussion, you have some comments about trails and transit. And the way those are worded, it sort of makes it look like there really aren't many trails and that there are no transit. But then the companion zoning has a plan attached to it that shows transit stops and shows trails. Is there a reason you're not recognizing what the zoning requires them to do?
Well, regarding the transit stops, the closest one, I think, was to the south, not too close to the project. That's why we're not showing it on the project. The trails, yes, is going to be discussed further on the MPUD, but there is a recreational trail that is provided along the northern border of the wetland connecting with the Double Branch Parkway.
I get that you're saying what existing, but this is a planning discussion about these facilities. I just would think that you would recognize the trails and transit stops that the applicant is actually committing to provide through the MPUD approval. It just, to me, it seems misleading to say no bus stops when the applicant is committing to provide bus stops.
Understood.
Shouldn't you at least recognize that, is my question?
Agreed, yes. And if the board wish, we can make the amendment for the next hearing.
So is there anything you want to amend besides the bus stops, David?
Well,
You want it to comport with the
I guess
plan?
my concern is that planning staff Mr. Vermillion spent a lot of time negotiating a plan with the applicant that provides for trails, and the Parks Department did a significant amount of effort negotiating a plan that provides for trails and transit. I just think that should be recognized somewhere in the agenda memo.
Yeah.
Amy Toll, Planning and Development, we can make that adjustment. The agenda memo is just currently identifying the facts on the ground, but we can also add the future obligations of the developer to align with what's in the MPUD.
Okay.
All right. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? All right.
Thank you.
Move to recommend approval of item PC5.
Just 1 second.
Wait,
Do we have any?
you need to see if there's public comment and let the applicant make her presentation first.
I don't know about the presentation part. Barbara Wilhite, 8627 Grand Boulevard, Newport Richey. For the applicant, I joined this wonderful team because Joel doesn't like us anymore. And so here I am, the face of the land use attorney for this wonderful project. So we're not going to make a presentation. Staff has made the presentation. The team, the wonderful team here, is available for questions. We'd like to let the neighbor make her comments, if that's okay.
Okay. So listen to the comment. Is other than just one person?
There's only one individual signed up.
Okay. Would you like to come forward, state your name and your address, and then feel free to comment?
Sure.
So we can get it on the record, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Judy Horvath. I have the property at 9249 McKendree Road, which is adjacent to the Miller's property.
Right.
And I spoke to a couple of these wonderful individuals here, and then also previously on the phone. And I don't object to the process and to the variance and to the zoning that they're requesting. What my concern is, since we have an equine sanctuary on the property that's adjacent, that we have an adequate barrier or trails, I heard the term trails coming up, something where we don't have an impact to the ag portion that we currently have, which is why we bought this property 15 plus years ago. So that's my concern, to make sure that those planning directives have been brought into play for an adequate buffer for ag, where we have horses which need peace and quiet, and we have community individuals coming with special needs that come to see horses to feel better. It's a therapeutic type of process. So my concern is just to emphasize that we want to ensure that those buffers are in place and they're part of the planning process when they're moving forward with the project.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from anybody? Okay.
Now I'll move to recommend approval of item
Do we want
PC5.
to allow Barbara to respond to that?
Barbara, do you want to respond to that, please? Yeah,
Or staff, anybody that wants to respond.
go ahead. Are you still legal?
Definitely not legal, not practicing law, a mere development consultant. Joel Tu, Palm Harbor, Florida, business consultant for the applicant. I'll reiterate what I heard Mr. Wolf tell the neighbor, so I'm speaking for him. As he explained, we were obligated from the beginning, when we did the original development agreement with the county actually required us to process this EC land use amendment for this additional land. So we're complying with an original obligation that we promised the county for the employment center. That's number one. Number two is, based upon the current planning and engineering, Mr. Wolf explained that it is like a 98% probability that that southernmost parcel adjacent to the neighbor will actually be a large stormwater drainage area and won't have a use at all. And as he explained, if something happens through the engineering that changes, because there's also either no access without going through a wetland or difficult access, that if for some reason that plan changes, then through the site plan process, they of course will reach out and engage with her and work out appropriate buffering for the use. But the odds are very minimal that that southernmost part will be anything other than master stormwater drainage to handle the part north of that that is more developable. So that's the factual situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tu. Any questions?
Now, given that we don't consider buffers in a comprehensive plan amendment, it might be more appropriate a rezoning, I'll still make a motion to recommend approval of item PC5.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carries.
Good afternoon, William Vermillion, Planning Development Economic Growth. This is the companion item, PDE 267881. This is a substantial modification to the Pasco Town Center MPUD. Part of the substantial modification is changing the name from Pasco Town Center to Double Branch. So from henceforth in the presentation, when I say Double Branch, I mean Pasco Town Center and vice versa.
Okay.
Here's the location map. Just south of State Road 52, 975 corridor in the exchange. This substantial modification, like Joel mentioned previously, was mandated by the third Economic Development Agreement amended, approved by the board December of 2024. This specifically increases the industrial entitlements by 2 million square feet to a total of 6 million square feet, and increases the office entitlements from 725,000 to 1.725 million square feet of office, as well as changes the name. Here's the location map showing just on the south side of State Road 52. It is within the connected city special district boundary, although not opted in. The current zoning reflecting MPUD and the future land use of employment center. So for the context map, here I put on the vision road layer for the connected city boundaries because in the GIS department, they had the layer set as connected city as one MPUD. So the whole area is just green, which isn't true. However, on this map, you can see several vision roads, and in the vicinity of this project, you have the Abbey Crossing MPUD, Murata, Kenton, Aprile, Remington, and then Nest Hockey to the south. Here's the MPUD master plan, which shows the vision road network within the MPUD plan from north to south, which are obligations of the third Economic Development Agreement. This is the connectivity plan that Mr. Goldstein spoke about. You can see here the several trail segments that both run along the master roadway plan as well as meander outside of the right-of-way boundaries, with some starring to indicate neighborhood parks and community hubs that are obligated through this MPUD substantial modification.
Could you also point out the bus stops since we discussed that?
Yes, so there are also transit stops located within this MPUD, which were a part of the original approval of Pasco Town Center, that there were to be transit stops here to facilitate between the residential and the employment generating that's going on within this master plan unit development. There is one variation that is related to the connectivity plan from 9051, which Parks, Rec, and Natural Resources was kind enough to help out with and facilitate in their recommendation of approval in this variation request. This is specifically from the minimum size, minimum dimensions, and open play areas within the mixed-use development. The specific requirements of this are found within conditions 12 and condition 5. The justification overall being, without reading you the 3 paragraphs of justification that are in the agenda memo, is that special consideration needed to be taken for overall park space due to the mixed-use development and the residential typology that's found within the MPUD, as well as being supported by the overall connectivity plan to get people from north to south, east to west, employment to residential to support commercial. This comes with a recommendation of approval to the Board of County Commissioners from staff. I'm here if you have any questions.
All right, any questions for Will?
I thought of one question. I'm not sure if it's for you or just kind of a side question. I drive through that intersection of I-75 and 52 almost every day. What's the long term? I mean, is there any plans by DOT to try to, you know, that southbound I-75 on-ramp gets pretty backed up in the morning?
Sure.
But I was just curious what the long term is for that intersection. Thank you.
That's a great question. So right now, the DOT has approved the project. The Flying J trip circulation is being adjusted, so we're going to mitigate those conflicting tractor-trailer turning movements across the highway. And also DOT, I met with DOT 2 weeks ago. The ramping to get on and off of I-75 is going to be, is engineered, and they're going to implement a capital project there shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Engel, isn't there also a planned parallel road to the north of this that is supposed to help?
Oh, well, that's a good point, too. It's not a DOT initiative, but with I-75 Gateway, the Hines family, they just broke ground yesterday. They're going to build what's called the Ozzie Murphy extension underneath I-75 and connect Pasco Road where the Target facility is. So that'll provide a vehicular bypass to the congestion down on 75 and 52.
Nice. When did, so they broke ground?
It's probably going to take about 3 years or 4 years, but they're in with DOT now getting approvals.
Is the cross-county trail going to go through that underpass as well?
It is, and the alignment between 52 and getting up to that crossing is already, embedded in the I-75 Gateway plan, and that's part of the cross-section going underneath I-75.
Okay.
2 travel lanes for vehicles and the Orange Belt Trail.
Super.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay, anything else?
I don't have anything to add for the applicant.
Nothing. Okay.
Did you ask public comment again, or does she want to speak again, or no?
I think she's,
You done? Okay, all right.
Well, can I ask her a question?
if you ask her to come up, please.
Yeah, she's got to come up to the podium so we can catch her on the record if you want to.
I was curious about the type of buffer you thought might be appropriate for your facility.
I'm thinking that natural buffer is always better. So trees, obviously are more appealing. They absorb sound sometimes better than having like just a brick wall or something, but something that would be appealing and also just, I want to say
So not a
rewarding.
wall or a fence?
If the trees aren't in the budget, they don't grow quickly enough, then probably a walls or a fence. So I think whatever would be the most appropriate that we could put up quickly, because trees could take a while to grow, so. yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then to staff, is there a buffer that's required?
So oddly enough, the parcel that this lady owns, when we talk about the future land use amendment, actually isn't a part of the MPUD, and it will retain its current zoning. So the buffering requirements that exist today would still exist then until they came in for rezoning. Right, so the MPUD boundary actually stops to the north of the property, the Miller property, which he's talking about. The MPUD boundary is actually the northern boundary of the Miller property, which is what this MPUD is obligated to buffer for.
Yeah.
Put that on the map. So we can-
Sure.
So I noticed, at least on this preliminary site plan that there was multifamily slated to border that property, but, you know, I know this is early stages, and I know Mr. Tu mentioned it's likely that's going to be retention areas, but
Right, and
at
that,
least on this plan, it does show multifamily bordering, so.
well, right, so that the property Mr. Tu was mentioning would be to the south of that, what's indicated as multifamily on the MPUD
Right.
plan for the retention area. It's just actually not a part of the MPUD boundary.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, Joel, too, again, to clarify that, because the current plan, as I said, is likely stormwater drainage, it's not even necessary to rezone that EC parcel, that part yet, because if it's just stormwater drainage, you can do off-site stormwater drainage. So back to my prior point is if for some reason that changes, they would actually have to come back through a zoning modification to add the parcel. So you'll have a bite at that apple, so to speak, if there's actually a use proposed for the parcel adjacent to her. Otherwise, it'll just stay in its natural state or simply be stormwater retention and no use really to buffer. It is a little confusing because it's in the plan amendment, the parcel is, but that parcel is not in the MPUD mod.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Okay, was that it for comment? All right,
Move to recommend approval of item PC 6.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion of the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, motion carries.
Who seconded that?
And welcome today, Ms. Hernandez.
Long time no see.
Hello, all right, so this item, Denise Hernandez, Code Compliance Department. This is your last item on the agenda, I'm hoping, and it is CC 260001. This is Land Development Code Amendment 80, which is, really this is a glitch amendment, to be honest with you. So these amendments were presented to the Horizontal Roundtable Interested Parties meeting on September 17th, 2025 by my esteemed colleagues, Elizabeth Blair and Sam Boundy with the County Attorney's Office. I was on vacation, so I wasn't able to be there. So first, we're going to start with the first section, and these are truly glitches, and as I'm here with code compliance, it was because this is an item that came through our code compliance department, and we found that there were some issues with the land development code that needed to be addressed. So the first section is we're making some modifications to section 530.5, which is parking or storing of recreational vehicles. And this section just clarifies that parking or storing of recreational vehicles in the right-of-way is prohibited in all zoning designations. Let me show you the strike-through underline section, or the red line section, which is your first your attachment 1 on your packet. So basically, the same language with some clarification, because we now have other things that occur in the right-of-way, such as multi-use trails and bicycle lanes and those type of things. But as you can see, this section used to reside under C, which only applied to residentially zoned property that's less than 1 acre, or ER. So now it applies countywide. So no recreational vehicle shall be parked or stored on the right-of-way. No portion of any RV shall extend over or interfere with the use of any sidewalk, multi-use trail, bicycle lane, and/or right-of-way intended for vehicular traffic. So we're just moving it from a subsection that only applies to residential districts into the general broad range, and updating it to include that, you know, we now have multi-use trails and those other things that occur in the right-of-way. So the next section that we're modifying is very similar, except that now we're talking about commercial vehicles. So it's 530.16. This is in supplemental regulations in 530, and this is parking and storage of commercial vehicles and commercial equipment in certain residential areas prohibited. So now, we're now adding MPUD, Master Plan Unit Development District, to the list of districts where commercial vehicle parking is prohibited. So going to the strike-through underline section of that, So basically, we're just clarifying that no commercial vehicles and no commercially related equipment shall be permitted to be parked or stored in any areas of unincorporated county, including county-owned right-of-way. As you can see, we're adding MPUD, Master Plan Unit Development District. There is, just want to clarify that the second piece that's kind of snipped there, always clarified that except when such commercial vehicles and equipment are being utilized as part of a business lawfully operating in the said zoning districts. So as you know, MPUDs do have residential and commercial components. This comment that's coming in the next slide came from the horizontal roundtable because they wanted to make sure that this was not going to affect businesses. So we added this underlined red area that shows an E, or the new E. Nothing in this section is intended to prohibit the lawful use of commercially zoned property as approved in the applicable site plan or on designated commercial areas within the MPUD. So the horizontal roundtable felt that this section was needed to, this language was needed to clarify the general intent. So those are the changes that are being proposed with this. Again, it's a minor modification. We're asking that you find the proposed ordinance amendments consistent with the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan. And these are scheduled to go to the Board of County Commissioners for first reading on the 21st of October at 1:30 in Newport Richey, and for adoption on November 12th at 1:30 in Dade City. And that's all I have for you today.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, Denise, can you back up to the last?
Absolutely. Do you want to see 530.16?
Yeah, that one.
Did you? Okay, sure.
I was just a curiosity
Yes.
question. I'm in the 3rd line down. It says R-2MH Rural Density Mobile Home PUD Planned Unit Development, and then you add MPUD.
Yes.
Do we have a PUD planned?
So we did, and that's an excellent question. So the PUD district was a district that was sunsetted on or around 2008, but there are still PUDs that exist out there that are still PUDs that have been platted, have gone through all the site plan review, et cetera. So that's why that section is still included in there.
I see.
When we sunsetted it, we didn't take away their existing PUD zone.
And
It
was
was still there.
some substantive difference between a PUD?
Yes,
Yes.
very, very big difference. So basically, a PUD district, Planned Unit Development District, is a district where you're approving the zoning and the site plan at the same time. So the zoning and the site plan came in together, and it was being approved by the, back then, DRC and BCC.
Okay. And then back to the,
So you didn't have, in PUDs, you didn't have bubble plans. You had the entire site plan, and even the plat and everything was all being done in one swoop.
and then back to the RV parking. real
Yes.
quick. This is more a question for David. In an effort to avoid drawing a potential legal challenge, is there a place in the Code of Ordinances that might be a safer place to add this prohibition of RV parking in the right-of-way? I'm not opposed to this, I'm just saying this is in the land development code, so someone could make the SB 180 claim, whereas if it was in the Code of Ordinances just under parking, then maybe you have some safe harbor.
I mean, I do think it could have gone on the Code of Ordinances. I mean, but it's also kind of a land development regulation as well, because as a site plan comes in, we would, if somebody showed RV parking in the right of way, we probably shouldn't be approving it because it would violate this section of the code. So,
But if you had a countywide ordinance that said you can't park your RV in the right of way, then it wouldn't be the same thing.
yeah, I'm just saying that the people in development review aren't necessarily reviewing against the Code of Ordinances. So they wouldn't necessarily.
What I'm getting is if you're in, I may phrase it a different way, if there is a countywide prohibition of, in the Code of Ordinances, of parking an RV in the right of way, then the county probably would not agree in a site plan approval or an MPUD approval to approve RV parking in a right-of-way if there's already a law against it, right?
This is a Patrick Dutter question, because I don't know whether when they're reviewing a site plan, the parking on a site plan, if they are looking at, if they're only looking at what the land development code allows, or if they're also looking at what the code of ordinances allows.
And if I may, to clarify some of that, there is some prohibitions in the Code of Ordinances. However, Code of Ordinances, those prohibitions have to do with class of parking violations, and they all refer to passenger vehicles. This is for recreational vehicles. So that's not saying it couldn't go in there, it's just where it exists already, it relates to violations, and it has to do with passenger vehicles, not with recreational vehicles.
Denise raises a good point, is I think they have to amend the land development code anyway, because otherwise it would be in conflict. Even if you added this prohibition in the Code of Ordinances, you'd have a conflict between the two if you didn't amend the land development code.
Right, but then you would just take all of this out of the land development code so that you don't have a conflict.
I mean, I understand you're raising a Senate Bill 180 issue, but if the only issue was enforcement, our code enforcement folks can enforce either one. They don't need, doesn't matter whether it's land development code or code of ordinances, they can enforce both.
That's why I bring the point in.
I understand you're trying to protect us from a Senate Bill 180 issue, but this is the least of our problems under Senate Bill 1. I mean, if somebody tries to challenge us under Senate Bill 180, we're going to raise all the same defenses we would raise on any challenge under Senate Bill 180.
So a hurricane victim can park the RV in the right of way?
Well,
That was going on for a while.
yeah, I mean, it's for a limited window of time, okay? But arguably, yes, if they were trying to rebuild after a hurricane and they needed to temporarily park their RV in the right-of-way, they might be able to invoke
That preemption.
the preemption.
Yeah.
Yes. But my argument would be that maybe they need to do that to have a place to park their RV while they're rebuilding, and maybe that is an appropriate use of Senate Bill 180. I mean, I would argue maybe if that's what they need to happen to get their property rebuilt,
Yeah,
that's probably a legitimate use of
Well,
Senate Bill 180.
I think after Helene and Milton, we had this issue and the BCC told the people, you can't park your RVs in the right of, you can park them on your front yard, and you could park them, and there was a state law that allowed them to park their RVs on the front yard while they go through the rebuilding effort, but the board made it very clear that they couldn't park them in the right of way or block the right of way with them.
But what I'm saying is that to the extent this is more stringent, and to the extent this regulation would prevent somebody who's trying to rebuild after a hurricane, I would argue they should be able to invoke the exception.
If I may also, as it's written right now, for the most part, all those properties that were affected by Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, they're already covered. They would have already had to have met that. So if you see C, and this is sub 6, I probably should have put 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as well. But it does say on residentially zoned property. Residentially zoned property by definition in our land development code are those pieces of property that are zoned R1, R2, R2MH, R1MH, R3, R4, ER. So no RV shall be parked or stored in the right of way. So that would have always.
They were already prohibited.
They're already prohibited.
The only one that maybe wouldn't be is if they were in an MPUD.
That's correct. And the
Or if
code
it was larger than
enforcement
1 acre.
issue that I'm dealing with is related to an MPUD.
So AR and larger than 1 acre.
Would have been okay previously.
Previously would have been
Yeah.
okay. So that's the only people it would affect.
Yes, that's accurate.
And if any of them truly were damaged by a hurricane and were trying to rebuild, yes, they would be able to
Yeah,
invoke
the
that
chances
exception.
are if they have more than an acre, they have
Well,
a place
again,
to
I'm
park
not,
the RV
it was
without being
a
on the right of way.
question about is there a place so that we don't draw a challenge? I'm not opposed to this in any
Yeah,
way.
I don't think that should be a reason, the reason just to throw it into the code of ordinances.
Additionally, I do have both Elizabeth Belair and Sam Boundy with the county attorney's office. They should be on if they have any comments about it. regarding the enforcement section, particularly with Sam Boundy, because we're dealing with this in an enforcement capacity.
Yeah, because I was wondering the logistics of it too, because, you know, it doesn't, I don't think there's anywhere in the land ordinances that deal with vehicles, like actual transport, personal conveyances. This is just RVs.
That's correct, yeah. This is
So
the sections I was mentioning, you're right, they're passenger vehicles.
Yeah,
is what-
passenger vehicles are dealt with in the ordinances.
That's correct.
As opposed to.
Yes.
So that's why I was wondering, you know, kind of along his line of questioning, what is the most logistical place to keep, you know, in theory, we should have an ordinance on both the passenger vehicles and the RVs in one spot. So would it make more sense for that to be in the land development code then, on passenger vehicles?
Well, let me tell you, and maybe, and I don't want to overstep Sam Boundy, who's our county prosecutor. Code of ordinances, typically, for the most part, the sheriff's office handles those parking violations. I'm not saying that the sheriff's office cannot handle land development code violations, but typically they handle more code of ordinance and Florida statutes violations.
Yeah, it's just weird, you know, if you park in the street in a passenger vehicle, one department handles it, and if you have your boat parked in the street, then somebody else handles it.
Well, in actuality, really, there is a section in 900 that does talk about parking the passenger vehicle in the right-of-way. When you kind of like, and I'm sure John probably remembers this part, where you kind of go over the sidewalk, you know how you're parking your vehicle in your driveway and you're overlapping into the sidewalk area off your driveway into the apron area. That's addressed in the land development code as well.
So, Mr. Dutter escaped, he never got up and answered my question. I still would like an answer, which is, if a prohibition on parking only resides in the code of ordinances and not in the land development code, would your department review for that?
A prohibition on a certain type of parking?
Yeah, so for example, let's just say the prohibition on no RV parking in the right of way, or any of these provisions that Denise has just talked about. If those only resided in the code of ordinances,
Mm-hmm.
and you had a site plan in,
Sure.
would you be reviewing it to see if it did or didn't comply with that?
We generally stick to the land development code and what's in the land development code. We generally don't look in code of ordinances for those types of things. And when we're talking about parking within the right of way, it's rare. Well, I mean, it happens, but I mean, specific parking spaces within the rights of way. So dedicated spaces. I would assume we're talking about dedicated spaces in the right of way.
Well, presume where this would arise is somebody was trying to use the right of way to count towards the required parking spaces.
If there is dedicated parking spots, we generally let them use those towards their parking requirements. There is no dedicated parking spots. We generally don't let them use like right of way, like the 50-foot right of way as to meet their parking requirements.
What I was going to suggest, David, was you can't circumvent an ordinance by asking for a site plan approval. So for instance, if we have in our ordinances that you can't let your grass grow more than X many inches high, you can't go in a site plan approval and say, well, I'm going to let the grass grow 5 feet high over here in this section.
I don't disagree, but the problem is that, and I don't want to get into all the nuances, is that if Patrick goes and then approves it, notwithstanding that violation of the code of ordinances, it does make it more difficult for us to enforce. Because now they're going to argue that, Patrick gave a stamp of approval to this.
Sounds like Patrick better read the code of ordinances.
Which is,
That's what he was saying, they don't
but that's my
do that.
point, is that I think his department is primarily reviewing the land development code. They're not reviewing the code of ordinances. And I'm saying that I think from an enforcement standpoint, we can enforce either.
John, I guess what is the concern with keeping it in the land development code? Just simply the Senate Bill 180 stuff, or?
Yeah, my only issue, again, I have zero objection to this whole prohibition of parking RVs. All I'm asking is it better placed in the code of ordinances? Senate Bill 180 does not at least by my understanding of that bill, maybe Dave will have a different
You're right, you're
opinion.
correct, it does not apply
It
to,
does not apply to your county ordinances, it applies to your comprehensive plan, your land development code, and your internal policies about those documents. It doesn't apply to the code of ordinances, so you can simply put this in the code of ordinances and avoid any possibility of somebody coming and giving you a SB 180 challenge. Again, I not object to this in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I mean, I think this has probably made it here because there are problems, and I think we need to get it in part of the code, part of the land development code now, and if there is some kind of challenge, we can always go the ordinance route down the road, correct?
I think it's.
yeah, I mean, if it gets challenged, if somebody challenges this particular regulation, I guess we could just throw it in the code of ordinances.
Right.
But I'm not gonna do that unless I lose my 10 constitutional arguments
Right,
first.
right.
So, they got a big uphill battle to climb before they're gonna get that declared as a violation of Senate Bill 180.
But wouldn't it make more sense to have mirroring language in both? That way it's covered in the land development code, it's covered in the code of ordinances.
You could, I don't, I guess I'm gonna let Denise or Sam weigh in on that.
Or you could refer to one or the other. Have it in there, but refer to one, have it in the code, the land development code, but refer to.
Yeah, I mean, my concern with not having land development code is I think, with all due respect to Patrick, his staff is going to probably miss it. If it's
No,
not
but
in
you could specifically refer to, as according to
I,
the code of ordinances.
the code of ordinance may already have a general prohibition on that sort of incorporates everything in the land development code, but I don't know if Sam is on, or Denise knows, like, I'm pretty confident that we enforce, code does enforce violations of the land development code.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's correct. I don't, the Sam Dade from the county attorney's office, I don't believe that the code of ordinances has any reference to incorporating the LDCU, but I mean, I agree generally with what Denise and David have been saying. The land development code, that's where we currently regulate RV parking and storage. We already had a mass prohibition on storing RVs in the right of way, and we're just bringing it countywide as opposed to some specific zoning districts. So I think MQD are really the folks that are going to be affected. So arguably with all those residential districts, it's not going to be more restrictive as what's already prohibited.
So couldn't you just refer to that particular ordinance in this section?
No, I think Sam is saying it's prohibited in the land development code currently.
Okay, it's not in the ordinance.
I think what he's saying is the code of ordinances doesn't really regulate this issue currently.
Yes.
It is regulated.
In the code of ordinances, we do have chapter 106, traffic and vehicles. It's mostly just regular parking violations, parking on sidewalks, parking in front of the driveway without the owner's consent, parking in crosswalks, but it doesn't necessarily touch on RV parking and storage.
Yeah. And remember that RV, recreational vehicles in our land development code are very broadly defined. So these include not only your typical like fifth wheel, these are also boat trailers, and this is what we've been seeing. People are parking on-street parking spaces in the right-of-way, just the trailer that carries the boat. Just plop it there.
Yeah, again, there's no objection to
Yeah.
regulation, it's only,
Yeah.
can you provide safe harbor from a legal challenge under that particular Senate bill, that's all.
If it gets that far, and I'm not sure it will, we probably could just move all of our parking regulations to the code of ordinances, but if they file that claim in Pasco County, they are going to have a mountain to climb before they get that far. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
That's enough for me.
I'm not saying they can't climb it, I'm just saying it's gonna be a mountain.
Why do you climb Mount Everest? Because it's there.
I tell you, if I climb a mountain, I want to be on David's team climbing that mountain. Not on the team that's against David.
I'll let you be my Sherpa.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Denise.
And that is the last item that we have on the agenda today.
All right, why don't we start with that one? Okay, thank you. We have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Deafening silence.
Have a new flavor sausage to bring me with.
Pasco County waterways and wildlife depend on you to keep them healthy. Excess fertilizer, grass clippings, trash, oils, and pet waste wash into gutters and storm drains when it rains. Stormwater carries these pollutants directly into our lakes and rivers, creating an unhealthy environment for fish, waterfowl, and other aquatic animals. Storm drains are meant for clean rainwater. Most other discharges are illegal. If you suspect an illicit discharge, please contact Pasco County Department of Public Works at 727-834-3611.
Go Pasco and Pasco County Libraries are perfect partners, perfect place to buy your bus pass. I'm very excited to introduce our newest library where you could buy bus passes. We listened to your request, and you can now buy your bus passes at the downtown Newport Richey Library.
It's very convenient to come from where I live to the library to pick up a bus pass. Before I would have to use 2 buses, and now I can use 1.
The Newport Richey Public Library acts as an information hub to the entire West Pasco community. We are thrilled to be able to offer the Go Pasco bus passes as an additional service for our community.
The bus passes that you could buy at the downtown Newport Richey Library are 31-day, regular and reduced, and the 20 ride. And don't forget, you can get your day passes on the bus. The partnership between Go Pasco and the Newport Richey Library downtown is a great, great partnership. We've wanted this for many years.
I just love Go Pasco.
Find your way to Pasco County Libraries with Go Pasco at gopasco.com.
This is a message to anyone who is pimping, selling, or sexually exploiting someone in Pasco County.
If you are forcing someone to sell their body for drugs or money, or if you are giving them drugs in exchange for sexual favors,
if you're allowing a minor to stay in your house in return for sexual favors, or if you're setting up sexual dates with a child.
If you are pimping, providing a ride or security for someone selling their bodies for sex,
or acting as a manager and keeping all of their money.
The law considers you a human trafficker, and human trafficking is a felony. You could be sentenced to 30 years to life.
Every law enforcement agency in Pasco County, including the Pasco Sheriff's Office,
The New Port Richey Police Department,
The Zephyr Hills Police Department,
the Dade City Police Department,
and the Port Richey Police Department
are working to arrest and help prosecute human traffickers. Pasco County has zero tolerance for human trafficking.
If you take advantage of others, forcing them to work or engage in commercial sex acts, we have a special place for you to live, the Pasco County Jail.
If you exploit or traffic other people, you are participating in modern-day slavery.
Would you want someone to sell a member of your family for sex?
Is a life in prison worth it? Because eventually you will get caught.
We use state-of-the-art technology.
We have highly trained, experienced officers.
We leverage detailed intelligence and monitor all of the online and social media platforms that traffickers use.
All law enforcement is working together. If you are a trafficker in Pasco County, we're looking for you and we will find you.
Pasco doesn't buy it. Don't traffic or sell another person, or you will be arrested.
Hey, I'm Kevin Jenkins, Water Quality Supervisor for Pasco County. What you see behind me tends to create a lot of questions for our department. People ask all the time, why are you wasting all that water, or why is that thing still running? The answer is simple, we're not. What you see happening right here is a state-regulated process called water quality flushing. It happens every day to keep your drinking water safe. Our team is responsible for checking more than 122,000 connections all over Pasco County. As you can imagine, it's a daunting task, but it's work we do proudly and take seriously. We service both residential and commercial connections and flush water mains periodically for preventative maintenance. It helps get rid of impurities, sediment, and biologic growth. This work can be done by a team member or by an automatic flushing device known as an AFD. AFDs can flush pipes remotely. So there you have it, and now you know. That's our flushing process in a nutshell. Pasco County works hard to maintain the best water quality. This is just one way we get to that point. To learn more about this and other Pasco County utilities information, please visit our website at mypasco.net.
Are you one of the nearly 50,000 veterans who live, work, and play in Pasco County? Our team at Pasco County Veteran Services is here to help you and your family, making sure you receive the benefits you deserve, from filing compensation and pension claims to crisis and aid and assistance. We're here to serve you.
So all of the veteran service officers here in Pasco County are retired from the military. We all come from different backgrounds, different branches of the military, but we all bring forth the experience and our expertise just through things that we have gained from our own personal military service.
You should come in and talk to a veteran service officer if you're trying to put together any type of claim that involves the VA.
I just think the team is great here, very caring, that's for sure. And they put their all to help you. You get total